I can hear it now. Fans take the field, and out of that eastern tunnel pour 215 well-drilled, well-disciplined Michigan bandsmen. They pour over the eastern sideline, they pour in the big block in, and they play the greatest college fight song ever written.
All right, Seth, outside of the new highlights in there, what's your favorite old highlight?
The old highlight? Like old highlights?
Yeah.
Out of those
clips.
Oh, on those ones? Well, no, like the old most of those clips are new now. Like the ones we just watched.
You know, I think it's like down for me. It's like Desmond or that one hand Woodson pick versus Michigan State. Like is always going to be my favorite.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the I remember where I was kind of things. I got a weird one actually. It's Mike Hart scoring like a touchdown by a nose against Penn State.
Okay.
I think it's 07. It's just like this rotten season, right? And like it's after the horror, it's after everything's bad already. And you know how like I get the jersey of that guy who just brings me back, right? And there's a reason why there's a couple of running backs. Like running backs like get like, you know, that's what gets me going, right? And
yeah.
I was having a hard time getting back into Michigan after the 2007. I wasn't working for MGO Blog yet. That was just Brian's, you know, side project at work at the time. I was just a big Michigan fan.
Was it still on Blogspace at that point or whatever?
Yeah, it was definitely on Blog. It was on Blogspot because I helped to move it to
Blogspot.
I came on and moved it in 2008 with him.
My face. Blog face.
I wasn't really I wasn't like running. I wasn't an editor at that point. I was just a guy. But I came from the message board. I was like copy editing when we did the switch. Anyway,
why shouldn't we feel besides national championship? Why shouldn't we feel the sads right now? What are we talking about today, Seth? What do you got for us?
We're talking about the same things. The same things. Did you watch the LSU USC game?
I didn't catch that one.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about USC.
Then you're not getting my reference here. I'll get you my. Sorry, I had the AL standings up here.
That's fine.
For some reason.
That's fine. That's smart.
Speaking of the Tigers,
and we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
We are sitting here again talking about the same things.
I can never get enough of Brian Kelly.
What a miserable human being. He hit that table about as hard as his defense hit in that game, from what I hear.
I love it. Well, this is what USC does to you. This is what I wanted to talk about this week because we're about to face the USC offense. And Lincoln Riley is a really smart offensive mind. One of the best out there. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when he comes up against this defense, or at least the version of this defense that we were used to last year. We might be in a little transition between Wink and whatnot, because they love to just mess with your eyes. And I wanted to kind of show you some of the tricks that they use that, you know, ends up getting Brian Kelly.
And we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
Talking about the same things. All right. So what he's talking about is they make everything look like everything else. So they're really good at just kind of giving you something to fixate on, and then it turns into the exact opposite thing. So here's a fairly successful play. There's a 3rd and 1, by the way.
Moss getting some heat. They tried to set it up to the back.
Right, but this was trying to be set like that was supposed to set up off of this earlier in the game.
Well, we'll see how they do tonight.
SC setting it up.
And look how open that is. So what all this is, right there, you're going to motion this way, so your eyes go this way, right? Then they start rolling out. Remember how he just passed off to that guy last time? All the offensive linemen are just kind of slipping out here into this screen, and then turns around, throws it back. So he's whipping your eyes back and forth all the time, and you think you've got it. You think you've got that one figured out, and then on 3rd and 1, he just whips this thing out. You're like, oh no, here comes the screen.
Getting some heat.
He throws the rollout that he was showing you the first time. So you have to be really disciplined against this team. The other thing
they're moving you post snap in ways that you don't see. That misdirection there is like I mean, it's tough, especially with an aggressive defense, which we've been playing. See if we sit in a shell a little bit more and try and keep stuff in front of you.
That's definitely part of the story. So here's that same look again, right? There's that cross motion from the H receiver. Looks like he's going to throw to the flat again, right?
Yeah.
And slips that tight end out there. Watch that again. I mean, still the same, kind of basically the same look, right? And there they go. They're trying to get both sides of it. And then he hits.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a corner or linebacker, but I mean, he was convinced that was going out to the right flat.
It's a linebacker.
Yeah, look at him. Look at him right there.
Yeah.
He's like 100% sure it's going to the running back.
Yep. Look at that. He's tracking. And right behind him. So they're really good at like giving you something to look at and then just hitting you a third way that you weren't thinking of. That's just
Seth, Jayshon Barham was talked about as Devin Bush, but big, you know? I think Devin Bush maybe has awareness for that play. Like, do you see Jayshon Barham being able to handle that?
It's hard to tell because Barham's been very much an assignment player so far. And I think that Texas busted him up a little bit because I just they had too much on his plate. But Wink really dialed it back in the last game. I don't know if that's just because they're playing a Sun Belt team in between two top 5 offenses, but he got very vanilla and it was breathtaking. Well, actually, I'm going to show you a couple of things he did later, but I wanted to just show you some of the more the ways they mess with you, right? So here, looks like they love to run power, they love to run counter, right? They love to pull a couple guys. So you're going to see this a lot. They're going to start blocking down with these guys. You think they're blocking down, and then they're actually going out for a screen. Now, this one actually they miscommunicated and blew it up, but he actually it looks like an RPO the whole time he's running it. So it's all this stuff that messes with you. The other thing they do that you're going to I'm showing this to you guys now because I figured during the game you'll be able to like point down the field and say like, okay, we saw that, right? The Matt and Seth show was talking about this. They line up their offensive linemen as far off the line of scrimmage as they can get away with. And in the Big Ten, they're learning they can get away with a lot. In college football, you can get away with a lot. You're supposed to be, you're at least a part of your body is supposed to be aligned with the signer's butt. But notice how they get both guards back. And that's for a couple things. They love to screen and they love to pull. Right? So they're going to have guys who are, they love to get guys moving all the time. So you can watch this and see who's off the line of scrimmage, trying to give you an idea of what they're going to run. Everyone off the line of scrimmage, it's a little bit of a screen tell. Because what they want to do is give as much time as possible, get you as deep as possible in the backfield. They've got a nice tall quarterback, and they got some receivers and running backs who are good to slip out of there. But they'll also kind of tell you things. Now look at look how far off the line of scrimmage this guy is.
Yeah.
He's 2 yards back, right? But he's pulling. See that? So that's a sign that he was actually going to be moving. And a lot of times you'll see them like this, right? Here's the tackle near the line of scrimmage, and this time the guard is way off. And that's another sign that they're pulling, right? There he goes.
Yeah, so they do have some tells.
Yeah. They do, but keep in mind they do a lot of play action. So if you're just using that as a run tell, it's not going to work. But what you can do is you got to read your guards. You have to notice their tendencies and figure out where they're going, and just play assignment football is the way to do it. And the other thing you really can't do with these guys is play man. This is what LSU tried to do. And watch some of the plays the receivers made. Look at this. They got our guy right in Moss's face. He managed to get the ball out accurately. I mean, it's ridiculous what these guys are able to accomplish. Here's another one late in the game. One-handed and gets targeted, so they got to move an extra 15 yards. On 2nd and 15, he can just hit these, right? Look at that tiny window. This one, I don't know if you've seen this one. Most people...
Yeah, I have. And I know I said before I didn't watch this game, but I definitely did. I was just thinking that you said that we're playing this weekend is what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't remember that. But apparently my long-term memory is I thought my short-term memory was the problem. Apparently it's long-term.
So if you get a match in man, I mean, this is like an NFL team. Look, they're just gonna beat you. And they bring in their backup receivers, and these guys are like 6'6". Look at that guy. I mean, it's ludicrous. So what are we going to do, right? We saw a couple of things. I think Michigan was practicing a couple of the things they wanted to do against Arkansas State. This was the one I was looking at, and I saw it, and I'm like, okay, it's late in the game. I think they're showing some things to USC. So they have this pre-snap, the little conversation here. They have both cornerbacks on the same side because they got the tight ends on the same side and receivers on the same side. So it looks like they're doing some sort of man thing. They got Jair Hill talking to Johnson here, and then Johnson gives him this little look, right? Look, he kind of slips in. I think right then he got the radio from the sideline. Hey, check, right? So he comes to the line, they check, and they're all looking at Will Johnson out here. So they saw him kind of sneak out there. He comes back. Nope, he's in coverage. And they miss this great opportunity. So you asked about Barham earlier. Now let's watch Barham on this play, okay? Snap. He steps down on run action. Now they're still at the mesh point, and you've got a slant coming right behind him. So this is, normally a negative for Barham.
Yeah.
And he's not even reading it. He's not even looking at it. The quarterback just gives it right to the running back, and Mason Graham, stuffs him. But one of the reasons Mason Graham is singled is because the linebacker was coming down, so his double has to release. Show you one more time. So you got Graham out here. He gets the double. The double sees a linebacker activate. He has to come off. Now you're single with Mason Graham, and you're going to lose that every time. So, and then
Graham
this guy's
just absolutely through like 1 yard right there. I mean, the running back's a yard away. He slips the block and makes a tackle. We haven't heard his name as much, and for people who watch football and just think, hey, this star, their name's not being called. I mean, he's holding up against two guys. He's doing his job in this defense.
He's been awesome this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at this poor receiver. He's looking. He puts his hands up. He looks back. Was there somebody covering me? What happened? How come he didn't throw it to me? I think that they got the check, and he was the receiver. He missed the check. So screw with their looks, right? Give them different things what they think they're going to see. Here's another one that kind of messed with them. All right, cornerback slides in a bit. He's got this read out there. He's like, okay, sweet. I'm going to throw that screen. And then Amir Hall steps to the other side real quick, and there's no one to block him.
Yeah, that was a nice play.
Yeah, and it's just look how subtle this is. See how the cornerback comes in? So he gives him this look out here, takes his eyes over here, and then it's something else. And then this was the moment this is early in the game. This is the moment the Senex opened up, and I was like, thank you. Because we were so worried about Wink, overstuffing the box and everything. So here's what they do. They go 4 wide. They got a bunch down here. They got another guy up here. And Michigan under Wink has been a little bit aggressive in these situations. Tries to okay, they're going to screen it. We can cover the screen with our guys. He leaves his linebacker out here. Okay, he reads the linebacker. We have 5 in the box versus 7. 5 linemen, quarterback, and a running back. But we're going to win that. Look at Grant, right? You single up Grant, he can 2-gap, and that's it.
Yeah.
So Wink is starting to get it. And the kinds of things that he was doing, especially later in the game, obviously the end of the game didn't go well, but that was third team. I'm not really counting that, but I'm talking third quarter. I think they were starting to practice the things they were doing for USC.
That's the real travesty of that on there. I had a couple fun parlays going that got ruined by that spread busting touchdown. That's really what I'm bummed about.
Well, man, I got to tell you, they had 2 drives, one of them which got points, extended on 4th down with completely horseshit calls.
Yeah.
And if you ever see McGinn is refereeing the game at the beginning, bet Michigan not to cover. He always seems to find a way.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that guy. I can't I can't watch film and tell you that guy's, working with the gamblers or hates Michigan or whatever. I just know when I see McGinn, there's always something crazy that goes on. Usually on a play that was going to be a punt or a turnover.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, I'll keep an eye on that. So, I mean, are you feeling hopeful about this matchup? Are you feeling optimistic at all, or you think?
I don't think you can. I think that what they did with their quarterback situation is not lending itself to maximizing their offensive potential in this game. I think USC's got a nice, simple defense that's going to stay in their lanes, and I think Michigan's not going to have anything particularly interesting to do with Orji because it's they don't really have anyone in their brain trust who runs one of these offenses, and I think that's why they went with Warren in the first place. So now they've got to do something else because Warren threw 3 interceptions, and you can't do that. So here's where they are. They're going to have to pick what they are. And I think if they go with Orji, I think by the time they get to Ohio State, they might have an offense, especially if they can figure out some interesting things to do with it. I'm just not hopeful. I haven't seen them do anything interesting with a quarterback's legs. I haven't, even when they have a lot of practice time and they had things that they could put in the offense for JJ, it was all fairly simple sideline stuff. So if that's going to be the main offense, they have not shown me yet that they really know how to use all the weapons they have, except in the Rose Bowl when they had a whole month to prepare for Alabama.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that is most confusing is if Orji really was the guy until he wasn't on a bailout plan a couple weeks before the season. Why wasn't there more preparation? Why wasn't there more, relying on his strengths? And, I feel bad for Warren because I feel like he could have gotten away with 1 or 2 bad throws if he hadn't taken the pressure that he did from Evan Link and other people, and some of those other interceptions he had really weren't his fault, but like the couple that he threw in this game, especially the 2 without pressure, were just terrible timing throws and bad reads. And
if they're going to be the game man, if they're going to be the team that plays opposite an elite defense and has a game manager quarterback, we've seen that before.
Yeah, you just can't turn the ball over.
You can't turn the ball over. And 3 picks, one of them, okay, Evan Link hit it, but he missed his read on that one. Brian and I were talking about this because Brian's like, he's throwing to an open guy, you can't knock him. And that's how we grade, and that's fine. But I know how that play is supposed to be read out. And Warren was not really good at reading what the defense turns into after the snap. He got his pre-snap read, he saw it was there, and he was throwing it. It's a very simple progression. I don't know where Orji's at with his progressions. So it's not like I can say that Orji's going to be leagues better in that, or that Warren was the worst or anything like that. I'm just saying I know how in the offense that Michigan runs, how that play was supposed to be read. It should have gone to Bell, who was getting his face mask pulled by a cornerback. So if the ball goes anywhere near him, they'll probably call that one. But that was... I'm not trying to knock on Warren. I'm saying that Warren is not so good that replacing him is going to make a humongous difference. And if they just become a team that can use Edwards better, okay.
Yeah, and if it's a coin flip, who's better? If Warren is slightly better, I would take a slightly worse passer with slightly worse reads at this point for the upside of the legs if we can use them. And I guess that's where we're at. Like my hope when Warren won the job is, well, maybe they found a gunslinger. I mean, you can win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer at quarterback. You don't need Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It would be great to have Tom Brady because you're going to win several, but game managers are there for a reason. They're to manage the ball, take care of the ball, make sure people are getting the ball in easy situations, easy throws, make the right reads. And if that's not happening, then you got to play the guy with the upside.
They did this like on January 11th, right? And they say, okay, we're going to go with a running quarterback. We're going to figure out ways to design things that make it easier on him and to maximize what he can do. They call the Ravens and say, hey, give us somebody who's been working with Lamar Jackson who wants it's an upgrade, right? And that's a pay upgrade. Give us and then like look around at different plays that use that kind of guy, because there's offenses that you can design around that kind of strength, and there are offenses that really use Edwards the way he should be used. And there are offenses that really take advantage of the way that Mullings can give you different options, really take advantage of the way that Bredesen is a dangerous blocker wherever you put him, and you can move him from side to side, really take advantage of Samaj Morgan in space. Those weapons that they have are good weapons if they wanted to run something that was based on an Alex Orji offense. I don't think that they got the people that they need to do it. I don't think they made the decision until after spring when they saw what they had. I think they were probably thinking, they can get that Tuttle will be healthy enough. But I don't know. I'm not making this up. I'm trying to go off of the information that we got in spring and in fall, and the fact that I keep coming back to is up until late in fall camp, they were telling us Alex Orji won this battle. And then all of a sudden they start talking about completion percentage. So I don't know if that's I don't know what that is, right? I'm just going off of the news that what was printed publicly, right? Because that's all I've got. But what I've got says that they were talking about Warren hitting 87% of his passes, which are too high, and which is also not the kind of battle that Orji's going to win. And if they're having a completion percentage war, that's not the one thing. That's the one thing we know about Orji. He's just not the most accurate quarterback. So if that's what it was about, it tells me the coaching staff thought that they looked at themselves and they self-scouted and they said, this is just not our forte. This is not something we know how to do. And we haven't installed enough. We haven't thought about it enough. We're not the guys to run this system. The system we know how to run is the one we won a national championship with. Let's go back to that and let's pick the quarterback who runs that system the best. And that was Davis Warren at that moment. So I think that was how the decision was made. I don't think people need to be castigated for it. I don't think that it's an insane decision. I think it makes sense in the structure that they had and the personnel that they had and where they were. And obviously Alex Orji is not setting the world on fire, even though we were hearing he was the more dangerous guy in practice or whatever. Because if he was, they would have just gone with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the deep ball looked good. So it was the receiver side. I mean, the ball looks good flying out of his hand. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think the upside of him being on the ground. Seth, I don't pick against Michigan very often. I feel sort of guilty for Texas. I think part of that was my prediction. So I'm going to go with 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals, 30-28. Zavada's going to hit a 59-yarder at the buzzer to win this one. That's what I'm going with this week. What about you?
18-17.
18. Hey, 6 field goals?
Yeah. Let's go with 18. Well, no, it's going to be 18-24 USC, but let's go with 18-17 just for fun. And I'll be mad about one of those touchdowns. There'll be some ref BS or what. No, it's probably, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be that 6'6" receiver catching it in the end zone over one of our dudes who's just not big enough. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be some crazy play made by some really good USC receiver, because the fact of the matter is good teams win in college football. USC is a good football team. Michigan was one of the best football teams I've ever seen last year, and they've taken a step back this year, and I'm okay with that. We got the trophy.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was fun talking to you. Let's see how it goes this weekend. We got a big matchup, and then nothing for a bit. So go blue, man.
All right, go blue.